Good morning and welcome to day 31 of the Do You Rules live stream experience. I am what you would call a host, and I go by the name of Cliche Jeff, and I'm grateful. That's our topic for today. What does it mean to be grateful? It's inspired by the fact that I think I'm grateful. I hope I'm grateful. Excuse me. and so I wanted to talk about it. Let's do our emotionally settled in process or get our emotionally settled in process going. What time is it? She didn't hear me quite right. What time is it? 4:29 a.m. It's cold again. Water. No label today. Don't ask why. Chapstick. Excuse me. I thought I cleared all that out. Clearly I didn't. And then of course we have our red book of thoughts. Kind of thinking I gotta buy more red books. I said it before. I have it in purple, green, blue. Kind of one of those staples things. But that's what it is. Let me collect myself here. Man, you think you would do some of these things. Give me 30 seconds. All right. So I think that stepped away to clear myself, and the first thing I do is come back and clear my throat on the mic. I know, disgusting, right? But I'm grateful. I am very grateful. Man, settle in, Jeff. Settle in, world. Settle in wherever you're at. I have a lot of things. I have actually less things written down, I think, than normal, but so many things rushing through my head. All right. Let us begin with the question. If you came face to face with God, whoever your God is, however you envision God to be, and God asked the question, how would you explain gratitude? What would you say? What would you say to God, the all is, the all everything about gratitude? How would you answer that question? What does it mean to you to be grateful? Do you have to think about that? And how deeply do you have to think about that? And if God is too deep and too strong for you, how would you answer that to yourself? Because we know that if someone else asks the question, someone who is just like you and I, there's a lot of standard answers. Because I believe there's a reality around no one wants to give off and have the audacity to express a lack of gratitude. How dare us, right? How dare us not be grateful for all the reasons that clearly we know we have to be grateful. So I wrote some things down today that I think are important to share around the consequence of gratitude. So we begin with that question. How would you explain gratitude to God? How would you explain gratitude to someone who didn't know and understand the concept of gratitude? How would you explain gratitude to yourself? So one of the things I wrote down that I think is important is that I believe when we talk about the consequence, fear is a consequence of our lack of gratitude. So I want to take this conversation in many ways. We'll iterate it, but let's think about that. And before we do, know this about the word gratitude as we're thinking about how do we explain it? How do we explain it? How do we explain it? And if you'd like, comment below and let me know what you're grateful for to start. And then if you make it through, let's comment about what we're grateful for after we have this conversation together. So gratitude, it stems from the root word gratus, which is Latin, which means pleasing and thankful. Pleasing and thankful. Keep that in mind, all right? Now also, gratitude in our English language would be defined as being thankful, readiness to show appreciation, and to return kindness. Readiness to show appreciation for and return kindness. I go back to my first statement of fear is a consequence of our lack of gratitude. If you are appreciative and you are thankful and you have all this gratitude, then there shouldn't be any fear around what it is you believe you need to do with the one life you have in front of you. And if we could consider that everything about what we do here is a journey towards the self-improvement process, and we believe, and I believe certainly, that the idea of improvement is never ending and that it insists on persisting, because so long as I'm given breath, what are you grateful for? Then I will move towards the path and the journey and the person I said I would be. Because part of my core principles, part of my values, part of what I believe, and this is me speaking right now, is the virtuousness in life. Part of what I would say to my God is, well, I'm grateful I have life. So if I'm grateful that I have life, what would stop me and prevent me from living it the way I wanted to live it? And fear is a consequence of our lack of gratitude. Fear prevents us from doing, at minimum, what we said we would do. Imagine that if you believe, however you believe, that you are thankful and you are showing appreciation, then what are you really afraid of when it comes to your life? When it comes to improving for your life, when it comes to moving in the direction you said you would move with your life? It's a basic question. It's a really basic question. So before we begin to answer and consider the possibilities of what it means to be grateful, consider that fear is a consequence of a lack of gratitude. And so now when the alarm clock goes off in the morning, we don't necessarily get up right away. Is that a sign of gratitude? I would just consider if I'm showing gratitude, I'm always in a mode of gratitude. When I get up, oh my God, I got life. So I would argue that if you don't get up when you said you were going to get up and you sleep through the alarm and you snooze, are you more grateful for sleep? Is sleep more important than the dream you said you would chase, however that dream is, or the life that you're grateful for? That's just a question. If we sleep on our lives, could we make the argument that we lack gratitude for our lives? If we don't chase and do what we said we would do, what are we fearful of? And why are we fearful if we are so grateful to have life? I've said this many times. The core fundamental value that helps push me out of bed, I don't want to get out of bed necessarily, is that I can say, thank you, God, I'm alive today. That's enough for me. I wake up in gratitude. Once I feel that and I acknowledge that and I identify that, how can I go back to sleep? How could I? Also consider that one day you will sleep and never wake up again. However that is, because that happens to all of us. Fear is a consequence of our lack of gratitude. I also wrote this down. Let me set a timer. Set a timer for 5 a.m. Day 31, man. Day 31. Of course, I'm grateful for it. How could I not be grateful for day 31? There's no there's no day 31 without a 1, a 2, and a 3, right? That's pretty cool. Talk about the compound effect regularly. Okay, I wrote this down. Materialism has limited our power associated with the root of gratitude. Which begs me to ask the question again, what are you really grateful for? Materialism has limited our power associated with the root of gratitude. What are you really grateful for? So if we were to have the conversation and you're talking to God or you're talking to whomever you're talking to and you said, I am grateful, what are you grateful for? I'm grateful I can pay my bills. I'm grateful I have a roof. I'm grateful for my clothing. I'm grateful for the food. I'm grateful for all these things that come with the materialistic view of life. You might say to yourself, well, Jeff, I need a job. Do you need a job? Well, to live a certain way, you certainly need a job. Sure, I'm not demeaning or degrading that. But are you so removed from the baseline of thankfulness that you can limit yourself to saying, I got a paycheck, so I'm grateful? I can pay my bills, so I'm grateful. There's arguments to be made that when we limit ourselves in gratitude in this way, to say, I got paid, I have enough to pay my bills, whew, I'm grateful. The universe and God will receive that as, it seems to me that in order for you to be pleasant and thankful, in order for you to be grateful, I just got to make sure you have enough to pay your bills. You have just enough food. You have just enough of the essentials in life to feel grateful. Therefore, there's nothing more you should get because there's nothing more you really want. Because clearly, this minimum, and I hate to demean it in that way, but just being enough to pay the bills, you feel how you're supposed to feel. So the universe and God will just keep returning and paying you that over and over and over. Just enough. Just enough. Just enough. I have just enough to pay my bills. I wrote this down too. Until we're grateful for ourselves, we won't experience greatness for ourselves. Because not only are we not ready to show appreciation, we're not ready to receive it. We're not ready to receive it. Remember that the definition is to be thankful, readiness to show appreciation for, and to return kindness. Are you okay? Okay. Okay. Let's think about this. I'm definitely a little tired today. I had, man, I feel like every time I have one of the maximum output days, I'm now 4 to 5 episodes ahead on the podcast. I've had a great couple of live sessions. I had a great workout session yesterday. I had a great day in the office. I had a great day with the family. Repeating that level of greatness the next day is often difficult. It's almost like the bar and talk about the pendulum, right? Okay. Let's reset. And let me make sure I know what I said here again, right? Until we're grateful for ourselves, We won't experience greatness for ourselves because not only are we not ready to show appreciation, we're not ready to receive it. So if you have a materialistic view on gratitude, if you define gratitude with what you do for a living, how much money you make, the fact that you can just pay your bills and you have just enough food, where is the appreciation for ourselves? Why do we overlook perceptually? Maybe this is just me. Why do we appear to overlook all that makes us us really when we talk about showing appreciation for ourselves? And if we're asked the question, what are you grateful for? We talk about our careers. We talk about the success perceptually. We talk about pieces of paper and metrics and dead people's faces on an ink that we value supremely high. That is what we're grateful for. Is it too much to be grateful for mind, body, and spirit? Is it too much to be grateful for the fact that your life is really miraculous? Have you not appreciated and learned to appreciate that the isness of us, what creates us, this universal experience, is profound beyond meaning and words? Maybe that's it, and maybe I look too deeply into it. Maybe existence and existing and our being and our essence is so broad and big and strong and wide and undefinable that we can't even be grateful for it. That we can't be grateful for the processes that keep us alive, the rhythms and patterns and habits of what make us up, the composition of us. What creates the emotional experience to allow you to even be pleasant and thankful and show gratitude, to even have fear and understand that there's consequence involved. Consider that. That we want to chalk and we want to position ourselves to appear grateful, but continue to lurk and live and have emanate massive derivatives of fear. If you're that grateful, the consequence of fear should never stop you. You should never worry. What is there really to worry about if you're grateful that you have life? And I would argue, possibly, that we haven't learned to appreciate that deeply the gratitude to have for life. If we talk about regularly the fact that time is fleeting, that the experience of life relationally, the love that is possible for you in all avenues and directions and endeavors, that we miss out on that for what? For the chase of what? Of gratitudes in ways that do what? That reflect what? Truthfully, how are you defining it? What are you so grateful for, or what do you lack gratitude for that you need to define yourself outside of what really who you are? Who really are you? That always goes back to that, right? Imagine that you were really in front of God and you what are you gonna say to God? That I'm grateful for my job. I mean, should you say you're grateful for your job? But that's it. That's what you're grateful for? How do you get to your job? How do you even understand that you have a job? The processes of us. Have we lost sight of the emotional experience of life that allows us to even understand what we could possibly yearn, strive, and be grateful for, even in a materialistic view? I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking the question. I don't know. I don't know. I certainly consider, though, oh, talk about the consequence of fear. The days and the times and the moments when things don't feel quite right, when we aren't getting the material, because I know it's hard. It's hard to measure in life. We're constantly measuring, right? We're constantly being shown what success looks like. We're constantly shown what could make us grateful. And when left to reflect and look around and we don't have that, it's tough. And maybe it's not enough to be grateful for life. I don't know. That's a possibility. What if it's not enough? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like at this point I'm out of words for the day. 4:49 a.m. And if there's anything I could suggest and leave you with as far as what it means to be grateful, and I would say I think because it's natural in the self improvement process. Can you be, what's the word again? I keep losing it. Can't keep track of my thoughts today. How much appreciation do you have for yourself? How much appreciation do you have for yourself in your life? I think that's a fundamental question to ask around gratitude. How much appreciation do you have for you? If we go if we go really deep into the question of how would you explain gratitude to God, would you not want to start with the appreciation for life that God gave you? So what is it? What is the appreciation you have for yourself? How do you show appreciation for yourself? How do you? How do you show appreciation for yourself? I don't know that answer. I would argue, though, that if you don't show appreciation for yourself, then you're walking around with a lack of gratitude. That's not a pleasant way to live. That's not a pleasant way to be. And appreciation for self is everything that allows you to be self again. I keep going back to that rhythm and pattern and habit. If you don't take care of your body, if you don't take care of your body, how do you have appreciation for yourself? How could you be so thankful to not take care of your physical being, knowing you need your physical being to exist? How could you not take care of your mind? I read something that kind of threw me. It says the person who doesn't read knows as much as the person who can't read. Imagine that. And you take care of your mind in different ways, right? Prayer, meditation. How much do you really think? How much do you think about what you think about? We talked about that yesterday. How much appreciation do you have for the fact that you can think? I think that's valuable. Your spirit. What is it about spirit? How are you spirited? Not just in your eagerness and attention to want to put forth a valiant effort with your life. I think that's another thing too. Imagine having a conversation with God and going through the effort you've put in for your life. And you know you can't cheat and G up God, at least supposedly, because God is on, God observes, or God witnesses everything. Imagine having to have the conversation like, yo, were you grateful for the opportunity I gave you in life? Yes, yes, of course I was grateful. Yes, God, I did everything I could. Did you? Do you really want to be in that situation and circumstance? I certainly don't. Do you want to be in a situation and circumstance to have to explain to anyone? If you were in a life review, if you were in the review of your life, if you went through the story of your life and the book of your life was given to you and you had to apply what you did in your life and prove and show and define how grateful you were for your life, how much of your life would you reasonably and rationally and logically and subjectively, or is it objectively, be able to say, I lived with gratitude? Could you do that? Do you have that conversation with yourself when it comes down to being thankful and having the ability to be receptive to receive, and then at any point, release and give back pleasantness and thankfulness? How much of that reciprocity, of that integration with gratitude, of that harmony, do you actually experience? There's a level of ubiquity that comes with the possibility around gratitude. How would you answer the question? How would you define gratitude? And then how would you apply your definition of gratitude, what you believe it is to be grateful, and explain, show, and display how you live gratefully? I'm asking that question. I ask myself that question daily. Because if you can't answer that, if you can't show and prove to yourself that you have an appreciation for yourself enough to say, I'm going to be grateful for the life I have. So therefore and thereby, by being grateful, I can be thankful that I have an opportunity. And what do you do with your opportunity? I would argue you're not grateful if you have an opportunity and you do nothing with your opportunity. At what point do you come to the realization that I have an opportunity, I'm doing nothing with it? Or at least I'm not doing what I said I would do with it. And why? Because fear is the consequence of a lack of gratitude. So how would you explain it? How would you describe it? What are you grateful for? It goes back to materialism. You're going to tell me you're just grateful for just being, I just have enough. I just have enough. I just have enough financially. I just have enough physically. I just have enough emotionally. I just have enough psychologically. I just have enough in wisdom. That's what that's your display of gratitude. Is that how you would rationalize and reason and prove to God with the one life you were given that you showed gratitude for your existence by just doing enough, by just getting by having the bare minimum? That life really is this expansive and this possible? And what was your return on the investment of life? You leave it to material? Is that how you show value? Is that how you show gratitude? Is that really your definition of gratitude? It's why I get back to the fundamental too of say less, show me, show you. When you have an appreciation for yourself, you can have an appreciation to challenge yourself, to push yourself, to extend yourself. And then also in that way, be prepared to share that collectively. How is that not gratitude? How is that not gratitude? If I could offer the possibility of, fine, you talk a lot of shit, Jeff. What are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? How would I explain gratitude? How could I possibly put into words why I am grateful? If it's bigger than a career, I certainly strive for a phenomenal career, one that is fulfilling, one that aligns with who I said I would be professionally. And in that way, I can say to you right now that what I do for a living, that's not this, what we're here now doing, is not what I want it to be, is not what I feel like I'm destined to do, is not how I want to define my life. So in that way, I could argue also, while I'm grateful, while I strive, while I push, where's my level of gratitude if I don't have the career path that defines the success that I would really want for myself? I have to answer that question. Where's my level of gratitude if I'm not exactly where I want to be yet spiritually? How would I define gratitude? Okay. The reason why I had this experience is because I was going through a guided meditation. It was sort of a flow and let go sort of meditation. It was sort of an emotional scan of where I was at. And I decided to meditate, and I often decide to meditate in a way that maybe it's a bit unique, right? I might share a little bit of detail that's intimate, but fine, whatever. Let me just be grateful that I had the experience, right? There goes fear. That what I'm about to say could sound a little crazy and a little off the cuff, and you might judge me in a way. I got to be grateful that I had the experience. So, as part of my recovery process, I like to get into a really, really hot bath with specific bubbles and Epsom salt because and some of the ones I have are for stress, for recovery, etc. I use them. I believe in it deeply. The way that others might promote a cold bath, I do it really, 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 really hot to the point where I almost, when I get in, it feels like I can give myself third-degree burns. But whatever. So I'm in this really, 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 really hot, and it's important to the experience, right? It's important to the experience. It's really, 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 really hot. Even to the point where it's almost like sauna-like environment. My timer just went off. So I get in. I'm appreciating and showing gratitude without even realizing it. Without even realizing it. I'm in there. I'm grateful. I'm having this experience. And I'm thinking about the possibility of, well, how would I describe gratitude? And I thought immediately about God. Like, how would I really, really tell God that I'm grateful? What could I say to God to convince God, yes, I am grateful. I am grateful for the one life experience you gave me. And I start to think about, well, I did all this with my career. I did all this with social media. I did all this with my entrepreneurial possibilities. I did all this as a father. I did all this as a husband. I try to create community. And I'm going through these things and I'm trying to list off all these reasons for why I could explain and show and prove to you that I was grateful. And then in that way, as I'm going through the guided meditation, they sort of remind you to tune in to the feeling of gratitude. Easy to overlook it. The appreciation you have for the emotional experience and feeling of gratitude. Do you stop to pause and reflect and feel what it means to be grateful? Because that is gratitude. Sure, all the things I rambled off and that we sort of define ourselves with, why we have an insistence on defining ourselves as these things, I don't know. Conversation for a different day. Nonetheless, if we're talking about the harmonious and unified process of mind, body, spirit, of having appreciation for self, right? Then we can easily surmise that we look to attain because we want these experiences because it helps reinforce that we can be grateful. But as I'm tuning in and as I'm starting to overheat and as I'm starting to really, really dig into what's happening, I said this yesterday, if you don't go within, you will go without. And here's the reason why I like to get into really, really, really hot sauna-like environments. As I just try to sort of let go, flow and let go, I can start to feel the beat of my heart. And imagine that without that heart, I wouldn't have this experience. I wouldn't have this emotion. I wouldn't know gratitude. And in the same way, I'll also agree, I wouldn't know the fear or the consequence of fear. And I need it all. I need it all to make sense of this experience. I need it all to know that I am achieving. I need it all to know that I am actualizing. I need it all to know that I am fulfilling. And as I started to go from trying to express in words and think about all these reasons I could prove to God, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the money, the house, the cars, the wife, the kids, the mentors, the people, the community. I'm grateful for all the indulgences I get to, the things I get to buy, the things I get to eat, the constant consuming. I'm consuming and consuming and consuming. Life is just offering all these things I could put into the experience of life. I'm grateful for that. Thank you. It goes back into, if you don't go within, you will go without. And the beat of my heart was a reminder that there is so much to be grateful for, because any and all opportunity I seek is made possible from the fact that I have life. You have life. We all have life. And so long as there's breath in our lungs and a beat in our heart, there's still possible and there's still possibility for anything you want to experience that will return you gratitude. And so in that way, as I'm tuning in, as I'm going within so I don't go without, as I'm trying to put together, I go from words. What are the words I would say to God to say, God, look, let me prove to you I'm grateful. It turns into the thought of what it means to being grateful. And all of a sudden words go to thought, and thought starts to scramble in my head, and thought starts to dissipate and disappear and not become words. And thought all of a sudden becomes feeling. And with the boom, 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 ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. I just go, ooh, baby. And that was gratitude to me. I felt the emotion. If I said, God, if you were like, what is it like to feel grateful, to be grateful? Why are you grateful for this life I gave you? I will look at God in all God's isness, essence, and beauty, and the great vastness of all the possibilities of the spiritual experience of life. The only thing I could do is go, ooh, baby, because that's how I feel to be me. And as I do my ooh, as I'm feeling it, as I'm letting out the vibration of sound and energy, my heartbeat is changing the rhythm of my voice. So as it's boom, 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 and it's being faster and faster and faster and faster. It's ooh, 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 ooh. And I know it sounds crazy. But all I could sense in that moment was this immense and overwhelming pleasure and joy and feeling of gratitude that whatever I released in vibration, however I decided to release vibration through the feeling of my heartbeat, through the thoughts in my head, through the sounds that are coming out of my mouth, it was all in absolute sync. It was synchronous, harmonious, ubiquitous. It was a feeling of total and full alignment that the experience possible and available to me was all inside of me, so I could be appreciative of all that happens inside of me that allows me then to go and have this experiential, right, possibility with life. And everything else it then offers, material or not. Because otherwise, what then is life? And that would be how I would explain, display, and show how I'm grateful to God, to universe, to creator, to you. And of course, and as importantly, to me, for whatever it's worth. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.